Well, hello everyone. Thank you for watching, and this program today is dedicated to bringing you the facts that will enable you to get to the truth and make you into prayer warriors as we watch and we pray. Our Christians for the U.S. Constitution campaign is going tremendous. We received another 3,000 constitutions this week, and we're sending them out as fast as possible. Almost 5,000 constitutions, pocket size, have been sent due to request. And we just have to say, to God be the glory. People are standing with me for the truth in our nation, and our Constitution is a rod of God. God told me at the beginning of this year He's going to put a rod in my hand, and He said, Faye, we're going to rebuild the foundations. Don't get disgusted. Don't get distressed. You are getting ready to have a rod of God. That rod is understanding this nation from its inception, and that the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and it was based on the Bible, based on prayer, based on men who were not ashamed of Jesus Christ. And that's what we're bringing you each week. We're still on last week's theme, poverty is not God's plan for you. Man, we got calls, unbelievable responses to it. It is a spirit, and it's straight from hell. You have the authority in the mighty name of Jesus to bind it. I'm going to help you, and I want you to stay tuned today as we try the spirits in the high places of this nation. The Bible tells us that as a nation goes, so goes the people. Call your friends and tell them, Faye's on, and it's time once again to pull down some strongholds. I'm Faye Hardin, and this is
Insight USA with Faye Hardin, author, teacher, prayer warrior. Merging prayer and patriotism. Founder of the National Prayer Network Intercessors with Insight and the much sought after weekly prayer bulletin Faye's Facts. Faye is a Christian activist dedicated to informing, educating, and empowering Christians to not only pray for America, but to understand the issues of the day, threatening our religious freedoms, families, finances, national security, natural energy, and senior citizens.
Well, welcome back. Our prayer point of the week is totally in conjunction with our theme. You know our program merges prayer and patriotism, and we are excited that we're being able to bring you the foundation of this country. Our information is coming out of the Founder's Bible by David Barton. Many of you are ordering it. We're asking for Lighthouse Partners of $500 and to get the Founder's Bible that really gives you the insight to America's true Christian foundation, where our Constitution actually came from, the scriptures that identify with the founders' writings of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence is found in this Bible in such a historic way. I've never seen anything like it. Be sure and add it. Give it for Father's Day. Give it for Mother's Day. I'm going to give it to my daughters for Resurrection Weekend. We always give each other presents on Resurrection Weekend, on Mother's Day. My two daughters are mothers, so we just everybody buys presents. It's like Christmas again. And so be a part of, and let our children know the true foundation of this country was biblically based on the Bible. And I'm going to tell you now about a prayer that took place in our First Continental Congress. And at the meeting of the First Congress, there was a doubt in the minds of many about the propriety of opening the session with prayer. And the reason assigned was, as here, that the great diversity of opinion and religious beliefs until at last Samuel Adams rose in that assembly. Think about what this one man did. Think about how he took it out of the hands of the devil, put our first Congress in the hands of the living God, and how when God moved, nobody was offended. We have everybody that's dealing with offense today, and we're banning God from every area of our society, our children, our schools, our universities, and our government, and it was never intended to be that way. But in the 1700s, there was a man who took a stand, Samuel Adams. He rose in that assembly with the air of a perfect Puritan, and he said, it did not become men professing to be Christians, men who had come together for solemn deliberation in the hour of their extremity, to say that there was so wide a difference in their religious belief that they could not, as one man, bow the knee in prayer to the Almighty, whose advice and assistance they hope to obtain, and depend upon it, that where there is a spirit of Christianity, there is a spirit which rises above the form. My God, this is why America's making it through these trying times. This is why God's keeping us when we really deserve to be judged with the highest judgment, because our nation has so failed to stand on God's principles. This is why we've had the prayers of the past that's carrying us through these valleys. And we need, again, to rise in the spirit of our forefathers. He says, you mean that we can't come in this place and one person now and bow and call on God without saying that there's just too many differences? Well, we can't do this. Somebody's going to get offended. We can't say that. He said, no. And when he did this under the anointing of the Holy Spirit, he said they got above the ceremonies, independent of sect or creed, and the controversies of clashing doctrines, and Adam's Whitefield-like rebuked. His rebuke penetrated the hearts of the other delegates. This is what we've got to pray for America, people. We've got to pray for men and women of God who cannot be bluffed, they cannot be bullied, and they cannot be blackmailed into lifting up the alternative to God, which is Satan. There's no middle ground. You're either with one or the other. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter what race you are. There is only one God. And Samuel Adams, when he stood up under the anointing of God, no one was defended. Several delegates actually commented on this remarkable prayer. And Silas and Dean reported that Douche's prayer, this is the man that actually did the praying, he was a chaplain, said his prayer was worth riding 100 miles to hear. This is the prayer that was prayed at our Second Continental Congress. While the exact wording of the first prayer is not known, an indication of the type of prayers prayed by Douche can be ascertained in the Second Continental Congress shortly after the Declaration of Independence was approved. Douche was appointed congressional chaplain and delivered this stirring prayer. And we're praying this today. We're going to get in agreement with John Adams and Chaplain Douche. We are going to pray this as though we are, God has given it to us personally. We're going to call on the same God with the exact same prayer that led a diverse group of politicians in the Second Continental Congress. O Lord, Heavenly Father, high and mighty King of kings and Lord of lords. Can you imagine that being said in the Congress of the United States, in the White House, even at any meeting where prayer is actually allowed? They called on Jesus Christ, not one of the three. They called on the King of kings and the Lord of lords. After all, the prayer continues, after all, the kingdoms, empires, and governments look down in mercy. We beseech thee on these American states who have fled to be free, who have fled to thee from the rod of the oppressor, and thrown themselves on thy gracious protection, desiring to be henceforth dependent only on thee. To thee have they appealed for the righteousness of their cause. To thee do they now look up for the countenance and support which thou alone canst give. Take them, therefore, Heavenly Father, under thy nurturing care, and give them wisdom in counsel, valor in the field. Defeat the malicious designs of our cruel adversaries. Convince them of the unrighteousness of their cause. All this week we ask in the name we ask in the name of you and the merits of Jesus Christ, thy Son and thy Savior. What a prayer. And then Chaplain Douche in the 1700s said amen. I just want to say today that we have bought so many lives. Our country has just thrown our youth to sexual addiction, drug addiction, pornography, illiteracy. God is banned in this nation at the will of a few people that decided to go out and rewrite what we're about. It's a disgrace. I'm hoping that I'm going to get people to understand this nation did not start out this way. We've had an interruption, and it came straight from hell. And I don't care what political party you're in. I don't care whether you're rich or poor. What I'm asking you to do is go back, get your Constitution, and read it. And get in line with the foundation that our forefathers have laid for us. They've given us so much wisdom, but that information we are being denied access to, just like we're being denied access to oil, coal, gas, gold. We're being denied access to what's really going on in our government with the spending, where it's going, who it's going to, why it's going there. And it's time that we rebuke the devourer and stand as one in Christ. How much do you really know about the Constitution? I have a question for you today, true or false, and I want you to answer it by contacting me in one of the areas that you're going to see on your screen, and request your free Constitution. If you're a pastor, request one for all your members of your church. If you're a Sunday school teacher, we'll send them to you for every member of your Sunday school class. If you're in a college and you say, Faye, I would like to have it for my dorm, you just write me and tell me how many you want. This is our mission right now, is to light a candle and not curse the darkness. This is what my true or false question is. It says our Constitution requires the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution. I want to read that again. Our Constitution requires the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, to be reserved to the states respectively or to the people. True or false? If this is true, you're going to ask yourself, where did the federal agencies get their authority to do what they're doing? They can send drones, they can confiscate land, they can confiscate water, they can, the federal agencies can tell the governors what to do, how to do it. What are we dealing with here? There's 15 of them. There's so many employees, over $1 trillion budgets to these people. We don't know where the money went, circumvents Congress. They've replaced the states, and it's been a subtle move. And it's been a move of the last two presidents plus the president now. And we can't have it anymore. I want you to just think about this. And the quote of the day, it is awesome. And again, this comes from our Founder's Bible. And it just goes right along with the theme of our program. So appropriate. And it's a quote by Benjamin Franklin. And he said, I am for doing good to the poor, but I differ in opinion of its means. I think the best way of doing good to the poor is not making them easy in poverty, but leading or driving them out of it. Benjamin Franklin wrote this for a London newspaper, and he wrote the piece criticizing the English practice of providing for the poor by taxing citizens, both directly and taxing their income, and also indirectly taxing commodities sold and bought by them. Franklin rebuked them for that approach. So before we go to the Watchman's Commentary, I want you to watch this. Hi, dear friends. I just got a special message for you today. I'm getting so many calls from our stations and our new networks from people that are in total financial bondage. They're in places of fixed incomes. They're on government subsidies, Social Security, and the needs are enormous. And it seems that there's no way out for them because their income, by the world standards, is set. So God spoke to me this week to begin to pray for you. The calls, the unbelievable people that are saying, Faye, I want you to send me a Constitution. I want to begin to pray with you, and they're rising above the fact that there's just no way out, it seems, from where they now stand. So God spoke to me to pray for your release from the demonic outpouring of the spirit of poverty. I would like for you to choose God's blessings and rebuke the devourer in your own life. Only you can do this. So today I want you to take a step of faith toward your release. I have written a little booklet on God is not the author of poverty. It is not God's will for poverty to overtake this land, our families, and our seniors. The little booklet tells my story of how one night that I could not go any further. It's like heaven's gates were shut. The blessings had stopped. I was on the verge of losing my car insurance, and I was working for God. I was working in an impoverished neighborhood in Charlotte, North Carolina, and there was no excuse for me not to have my needs met. I always had, but I didn't know which way to go, nowhere to turn. And God showed me poverty is a spirit. And He showed me how to command the demonic activity. The thief that stole had to bring back to me everything he took. It was an all-night battle with the forces of hell, and I won it. I want to tell you this story because I want to encourage you, especially those that there's no way that you can keep up with paying $9 a pound for hamburger, $5 a gallon for gas, double your utilities, and there's nowhere to pull from. And even all the substance that you get in benefits from Social Security, from food stamps, wherever it's coming from, it's not enough, and it's weighing on you and your family. Poverty is not of God. So I want you to do today, you have to do something. And this is exactly what God spoke to me to say to you. The year 13 is a very significant year in Hebrew. And I want you to understand the significance of that number. And I believe that God is going to release His blessings, and He's going to show you ways of escape from the trappings of Satan. And so here's what I want you to do. I want you to send a check. I want you to send a money order, or just call me and send $13.13. This is what I want you to do. You say, Faye, I cannot make it through the month. When you read how I took on this spirit personally, and how step by step God showed me move by move that I moved right out of the enemy's camp, you're going to see that if the Word of God works for me, it will work for you. $13.13. And I want you to pledge that every month. Every month. Put God first. You think, well, I have so little. It won't matter what I do. It does matter what you do. On the 13th of the month, I'm going to take your seeds and your prayer requests to the Father. I'm going to get in agreement that the people in this country are going to come out of Egypt, and a Joseph is going to appear. Not a helping hand. Not somebody that just needs you for a political purpose. But God is going to set you free. $13.13, and you've got to be faithful with it, and we'll be giving the testimonies back to you. The spirit of poverty on your life can be loosed. And I want to send you the scriptures, my own personal testimony, and I'm going to hear back from you. And you say, Faye, a year? No. God begins to work immediately. He begins to show you. But seed sown in the ground that God has anointed is different than scattering it to the wind. You can't scatter to the wind. So maybe your scattering to the wind is the reason that your blessings are not coming back. The Bible says we can bind the thief. We can have him bound. He said, if the thief be caught and he is bound, he has to bring back everything he has stolen. Get your faith in God today. Get it off of what people are saying you, this is all there is. According to the world system, according to health system, they're right. But according to God's system, there's nothing God won't do for you, through you. Put your hand back in the hand of the man who still the waters. $13.13. Make it out to Insight. You'll have the information on your screen. And say, Faye, I am walking out and binding the spirit of poverty, the curses and death. And I'm going to put my life, faith, and trust back in God. And he said, what we sow, we reap. We're sowing it. And he said, I promise you bountiful blessings. Do it today. The information's on the screen. I just know I'm talking to somebody, maybe thousands. And I know what God can do, but there's something you have to do first. And I'm standing in agreement with you. I look forward to hearing from you, and soon. Well, time goes so fast, but we're having the Watchman's Commentary now, and Isaiah 62:6 says, "Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence." So let's just look for a minute of what our forefathers actually said about things, and we're going to go back to Benjamin Franklin's letter, and this is what he said. I'm just going to read it straight from the Founder's Bible. He said I traveled much, and I observed in different countries that the more public provision were made for the poor, the less they provided for themselves, and of course became poorer. And on the contrary, the less was done for them, the more they did for themselves, and became richer. There is no country in the world where so many provisions are established for them, so many hospitals to receive them when they are sick or lame, founded and maintained by voluntary charities, so many alms houses for the aged, both sexes, together with a solemn general law made by the rich to subject their estates to a heavy tax for the support of the poor. Under all these obligations, are our poor modest, humble, thankful, and do they use their best endeavors to maintain themselves and lighten our shoulders of this burden? On the contrary, I affirm that there is no country in the world which the poor are more idle, destitute, drunken, and insolent. The day you passed that act, you took away from before the eyes of the greatest of all inducements to an industry, frugality, and sobriety. In short, you offered a premium for the encouragement of idleness, and you should not now wonder that it has had its effect on the increase of poverty. This is what Benjamin Franklin wrote in a London newspaper to England, describing their actions and warning them that it's the churches, it's God's people that are supposed to take care of the poor. They are supposed to bring them back to a full life, not the government. It began in England. So you connect the dots. I want to hear from you. I need partners. 3,000. Please come and get on board with us.
Join Faye on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/FayeUSA and like the page to make sure you stay plugged into the content you can only get from Faye.
We're pulling down strongholds in the name of the Lord. We're slaying our giants. We're using our sword. We're world overcomers by the blood of the Lamb. Our tongue is our weapon. We're taking the land with wisdom to guide us, and faith is our shield. Our weapons aren't carnal, because they are real. So come join God's army, be a part of His plan. We're more than conquerors, for in Christ we stand.
Faye is calling on 3,000 partners to join in her campaign to tear down the strongholds held over this nation, which were once blessed and protected by God. God's word says in Psalm 33:12, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." Do you believe that it's God's will for 66 million people in our nation to beg for bread daily simply because of their inability to support themselves? Think about it. Do you believe that millions of people who enter this nation illegally should be given benefits as a reward for breaking our laws, while our elected leaders disregard to enforce those same laws? Do you believe that it's God's will that 23 million people are unable to find work? Do you believe that it's God's will that companies of our nations be destroyed due to regulations and laws that are unconstitutional? Do you believe that America is jobless because there is no other way for us to go? Do you believe that it's God's will that Christians are now forced by law to help abort 55 million babies? Do you believe that we're in a spiritual battle and the devourer runs rampant? Faye and her friends believe that we should protect ourselves from politicians who refuse to uphold the Constitution. It's time to call on God and understand that His Word is our way out of bondage. America is a mission field, and Faye is dedicated to it. Psalm 94:16 asks, "Who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity?" Won't you stand and act today? You can join Faye right now in one of two ways. You can become a covenant partner for America to rebuild its foundation. Plant a $1,000 seed to help build the Capitol Hill Lighthouse with insight. Bring the power of the Pentecost to the nation's capital. Take this television ministry to every city and state in this nation live from Washington, D.C. Or become one of 3,000 Covenant Insight partners with a monthly pledge of $20 or more. Lighthouse partners receive the amazing Founder's Bible from signature historian David Barton, along with the much sought-after Faye's Facts, a prayer bulletin that leads thousands of intercessors weekly to pray specifically as united, focused, and informed prayer warriors for America's deliverance. Partners also will receive a free pocket-sized Constitution and a free bumper sticker, "Yeshua is Lord over America." Become a covenant partner with a pledge of $20 or more and receive your free pocket-sized Constitution, free bumper sticker, and weekly Faye's Facts, along with an Insight USA pin that Faye has prayed over to give you wisdom with financial matters as you write your checks. Please send your pledge to Insight USA, P.O. Box 917689, Longwood, Florida 32791. That's Insight USA, P.O. Box 917689, Longwood, Florida 32791.